Oh, yeah. Can you dig it? What's happening, Untethered Live family? How's it going out there in the real world? I hope that we're back online. All of a sudden, I'm getting an error. I hope you guys can see me. Getting a big, bright error message right off the bat. That's not a good sign. I swear to God, these people. Let me see if I can fix that. I'll be with you in just a minute, guys. Let's see if I can do anything about this. Let's see if that helps. Am I live? Do you see me? Am I here? Yes? Yeah, you're fine. All right. Well, I got a big old fat error message, so I'm just going to go as if everything is okay. I am, however, in the Lord's army, and that means that we'll make it one way or the other. Hello, Untethered Live. It's Chill Stream on a Friday night. I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and tonight, it's freaking Friday, baby. Finally, freaking Friday. Amanda says, hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. Happy Friday. We got internet. Yay. I hope everyone is doing good. How are you tonight, Jake? Well, I'd be doing a lot better if that big, bright, yellow warning sign wasn't shooting there saying I wasn't getting enough video to maintain a smooth stream. If I'm buffering, that's why. I don't know why. I guess their internet ain't as good as they say it is, huh? What it is first in chat. What's up, my friend? Nice to see you. He says pre-show antics. Right on. You get the gold star for being first in chat. And Amanda says, here's your gold star. You stick that sucker up on your mantelpiece and enjoy looking at it till your ripe old age of 100. Amanda says hi. And what it is says, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice. I'm glad you're in the mood. What it is, me too. Amanda says, can you dig it? I can. Fab Daddy, what's up, my brother? He says, happy Friday the 13th. It is Friday the 13th, isn't it? Unless your name is jakejohnsonband, it's just another Friday. If your name is jakejohnsonband, though, you have other issues. Serious ones. Look behind you. Duck. Amanda says, hi, Fab Daddy. Fab Daddy says, I know what you did last summer, Amanda. Me too. Mostly talk to me on the phone for hours and hours and hours. Amanda says, well, tell me, because I can't remember it all. Right on. Fab Daddy says, cabin in the woods. Ring a bell. Last house on the left. Spitting on your grave. Nothing? Amanda says, yeah, I know. Bill Bennett says, hello, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. Hey, Bill. Nice to see you, my friend. Welcome in. Come on in. Amanda says, hi. What it is says, the interweb is back up, sort of. I've got a big error message, which means I need to check my internet speeds and see if I've got normal speeds or if I've got to complain some more. Maybe get them to give me a new modem or upgrade firmware or something. But it is working. I am online, so that's something. Got a nice new background to commemorate the evening. Thanks to the band Hammer for designing the logo. Amanda says, yes, thank God. Right on. Fab Daddy says, I've been busy trolling the live protest channels in L.A. I'm glad you're having fun with that. It looks good, Jake. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that, Fab Daddy. It is nice. Amanda says, the new background is awesome. Don't break your arm patting yourself on the back. I'll tell everybody you designed it. It is wonderful. And I got a red one too. I'm going to go between the two and see which one I like better. I think this one looks quite nice though. I like the blue. It makes my eyes pop. What it is says, you're all good. Sound check is all good. Got you dialed in. All right. Long as I ain't buffering, that's all that matters. Patty says, what's going on, people? Hey, Patty. Nice to see you. It's Patty. Yes, it is. Amanda says, hi, Patty. And you're not buffering. It's good. All right. Excellent. Maybe it's just a false alarm. I don't seem to be dropping any packets or anything. All my stats look good. 30 frames per second. CPU at 30.8%. Yeah, everything looks right. It says I have a strong internet connection. I don't know why that error is there. Just YouTube screwing me, I guess. Bill says, what are your thoughts on Israel in the last 24 hours? My thoughts are gas prices are really going to go up now. We were doing good. They were heading down. Now that that's going on, they're going to go right back up. Fab Daddy says, oh, good question, Bill. It is a good question. It was not like it was a shocker, you know. Anybody didn't see that coming, wasn't paying attention. You can't poke somebody in the eye very long before they slap you in the face. It's just going to happen. Fab Daddy says, I heard Trump is offering 1,000 Bitcoins for being a seat filler for his parade. Are you attending tomorrow? Well, you heard wrong, and no. Patty says, yep, the art department has really worked hard. Yes, they have. Thank you, Patty, for noticing. John H. says, hello, everyone. How's you all? It's all crystal clear here, Jake. Thank you, John, and I appreciate it, and we're doing fine. How about yourself, sir? Are you feeling any better than you were the other day? Amanda says, hi, Nugget. Fab Daddy says, it was on Craigslist. Yeah, because Trump works on Craigslist often, right? Think about what you're saying. If it was on Craigslist, to be sure, anybody could have put it there and then claimed it was Donald Trump. However, Donald Trump owns Truth Social. Why do you think he would put it on Craigslist? He's also friends with Elon Musk, who owns Twitter or X. Despite what you may think is going on, it isn't. Just think about it for a minute. That's all I'm asking. Just think for a minute before you go leaping down into rabbit holes. Amanda says, thank you, Patty. I have fun doing it. Linda Davis is here. She says, hi, all. Hey, Linda. How are you, sweetie? Bill says, anytime you start moving your people out of embassies, you know something is coming for sure. Not just negotiating. Right. Well, I kind of saw this coming anyway because nobody on planet Earth wants Iran to have nuclear weapons. And they're trying to get them. And then there's the whole them funding Hezbollah and all that stuff. It's been coming for a while. I hate that it has to happen. I don't like war of any kind for anybody. I wish that we could do this in another way. But you kind of see it happening. Amanda says, hi, Linda, hun. And Amanda says, and Truth Social has 6.3 million people on it. Right on. Linda says, hi, Amanda Love. Patty says, totally radical. And Fab Daddy says, Trump had my best friend's ex-wife at Fort Bragg for 250th anniversary. Schmitz. He had her, like for dinner or in bed? How did he have her? I'm glad they're calling it Fort Bragg again. What are we saying here? What is Schmitz? I'm not sure what the reference is there, Fab Daddy. Is Trump doing cannibalism again? Yeah, it totally sounds like something Trump would do to take out an ad on Craigslist, the trailer trash of the social media. I met Mr. Schmitz, hardcore guy. He had her as a guest and spoke about his service. Okay, who is Mr. Schmitz? I don't know who that is. That sounds like an interesting evening. What was the service they were speaking on? I guess I don't know any of the information that involves that sentence, is what I'm saying. So you have to be more specific. I do, however, have a nice, lovely hot cup of coffee. What it is says, hello to all. Hello, what it is. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. What you been up to this week? And are you ready for a weekend? I'm ready for a short weekend. I got to work tomorrow or Sunday, depending on how I feel tomorrow. But other than that, I am going to take one day off at least. Where's my Amy girl? I need some jokes, says Linda. She's coming. She'll be here soon, I would imagine. Debbie, how are you? She says, Trump has too many followers. Remember his rallies. Yeah, remember his rallies. He does not have to pay anyone to show up for him. Right. Yeah, if you've ever watched a Trump rally, which he's been doing for years now, randomly without promoting them. He just shows up at a place and there are 10,000 people there. And it just, everywhere he goes. Why would you think he'd have to pay somebody to come to a parade? That seems really low hanging fruit to me, Fab Dad. I'm sure even you're smarter than that. Fab Daddy says, he is my friend Kathy's dead dad. Joined the airborne at age 15 and fought in 3 different wars. Are you saying Trump honored him at a place and had your best friend come speak? Is that what you're saying? You seem to have left out some information, and I don't know any of that information. So I'm guessing Trump honored a fallen soldier and your friend's wife went and spoke there. I think that's what you're saying. And what it is says, getting back into the flow of life. Well, what took you out of the flow of life there, what it is? And Amanda says, hi, Debbie, absolutely right. In like Kamala, who had to pay for her audience, right? Yeah, Kamala actually did pay for her audience, and we have the receipts to prove that, but don't think Trump has to do that. I don't think Trump could pay people to stay away. Debbie says, right, Amanda, and Harris even paid the stars to show up to say something nice about her. Yeah, and well, who was it? Was it Nicki Minaj or Beyonce or somebody came to one of her rallies, and everybody thought they were going to get a free Beyonce concert, so they all showed up, and then she came out and spoke and then left. And everybody else left with her because they didn't get a concert. They were not there for Harris. And Amanda says, that's good what it is. Rich S., what's up, gang? Hey, Rich, nice to see you. That J tag looks great by your name, by the way. It makes you look powerful, makes you look authoritative. Look at that J tag shining over there by that S. It's like it makes you somebody. Mwah! Beautiful. Fab Daddy says, yes, on the 250th anniversary, Trump invited her and her kids to the ceremony. That's beautiful. Why would you be down on that? That sounds like a wonderful thing. Sounds like Trump's thinking of the people that served. That's what I see. Linda says, good to see you coming back regularly. What it is, I'm glad things are going well for you now. Me too. I didn't know things were going bad for you. If they were, I'm sorry I didn't notice. And I'm glad you're here. Amanda says, right. What does that say? And led her followers to think they were going to get concerts. Right. What it is says, Trump needs to bring back Long John Silver's. I hear you, buddy. Did they go away? I haven't seen a Long John Silver's in years. I just assumed they weren't in this state, but did they go away? Bill Bennett, no, Fab Daddy says, and the CIA operators are the violence in L.A. Are they now? Come on now. Think about that. Bill Bennett says probably the last 10 or 15 years to be that precise. Right on. The number of Trump rallies that have been happening. Yeah. Fab Daddy says Trump paying people to start stuff so he can start martial law. Yeah, that doesn't sound like Trump at all. Trump is the opposite of that. Everything he says is opposite of that. Think about what you're saying. Was he paying people to start stuff the first time they rioted when he won the first time? Or the second time? Or any of the times in between? The summer of love, was he paying people then? Did he pay people to, take over a small city block in Oregon and create their own country, which failed miserably because they're all stupid? No, he's not paying people, Fab Daddy. That's just internet nonsense. As I'm sure you're beginning to notice, there's a lot of that going on in the world. People making up nonsense to create narratives to keep low-end people yapping about things that aren't real. I'm trying to pull you out of that. Come on up here with us high-end people. You can be one too. Rich S says, hi, Linda and Walter. Is Walter here? I didn't see him come in. What it is says, thank you, Amanda. And Linda says, Walter is in New Jersey, and I don't think he is on here tonight. I didn't think he was. What it is says, I like fish and chips. I had chips tonight and chicken sandwich. Chicken salad sandwich. That's what I had for dinner. What'd you have for dinner? Fab Daddy says Governor Newsom won federal judicial fight and has control of Cal National Guard effectively today at noon. I think you need to relook into that, buddy. It's the exact opposite. Look into that one more time. Like as of now. Rich S says, it's getting ugly now with Iran and Israel. Anyone else concerned? Yeah, this is pretty concerning. It's getting ugly because they're kicking off World War III potentially, because depending on who decides to get involved in this, it could very easily slide right on into World War III. And they've been fighting right on the edge of that for a very long time now. So I fully expect it to happen. I don't want it to happen. I wish we could find another way to communicate without killing each other, but apparently that's the only language some people speak. I don't know much about it as of tonight. I'll know more about it by tomorrow when we do politics, and I'll talk more about it then. It just happened last night, and I was at work this morning, and I heard about it, but I haven't had a chance to study on it yet. So I don't have all the details in front of me as to what went on and who's doing what and who are the actors and what's currently the position of everybody and what's currently happening. But I'll know tomorrow, and we'll discuss it in depth. Amanda says, you're welcome. What it is, I can't imagine how you feel, but knowing, oh, I remember now. Okay, I'm sorry what it is. I did notice that. I did know what that had happened, and I apologize. I just slipped my mind momentarily. I can't imagine how you feel, but knowing she is with God and at full peace should be comforting for you. And now she's looking over you always. Hugs and prayers. Yeah, I apologize about that, what it is. It slipped my mind, that's all. I did know that, and I'm sorry. Patty says, I don't see any Long John Silvers here in my town either, in my area either. Yeah, I hadn't seen one in a long time. What it is says, I need to be paid. Which line do I stand in? Well, don't stand in the Trump line because they're not paying. You could go find that guy on Craigslist and demand your fee. Fab Daddy says, I love the bottom dwellers. I hear you, buddy. If that's where you like being, I'm offering you a way out, man. But you got to think real. You can't be chasing every crazy theory that gets dropped by somebody. You got to juxtapose everything you think with logic. That's what it takes to have that J-tag, but, to each his own. If you enjoy that kind of thing, I'm with you. Amanda says, LOL, what it is, right? It depends on how much they're paying. Well, I need to be paid too. I'm like $60, $70 down, and I can't get up ahead no matter how hard I try. So, tell me where the line's at so I can go stand in it. Linda Davis says, we have a Long John Silver's here in our neck of the woods. That's cool. Patty's message retracted. I can't read it if you retract it. John says, Trump appealed it and won. That's what I thought. Yeah. No. Newsom does not control the National Guard because that's the purview of the president, and he's not doing anything illegal. That's the thing that you lefties don't seem to understand. He's the commander-in-chief. All forms of military answer to him. No judge can change that. We don't make laws based on what crazy judges say. Otherwise, why have a president at all? That's not democracy, by the way. You know, the thing that you guys always chant that you're in support of when things aren't going your way. Well, what about democracy? Democracy is when the majority of the country votes for a thing and then they enact the thing that the majority of the people voted for. That's democracy. That's what's happening right now. Unfortunately, you're on the losing side of that. You just have to live with it until it's your turn. And thanks, John. Fab Daddy says, appeal granted, not won. Dummy, that's what that means. He won. Trump will do what he wants to do. Patty says, I think Governor Newsom is being groomed, probably. He'll probably run for president in 2028. It's going to the Supreme Court next. Yeah, well, the Supreme Court typically errs on the side of the Constitution, which means Trump won. Bill Bennett says, I don't think Iran is as strong as they claim. It's scary. All people in our country that wasn't screened. All the people in our country that wasn't screened. Yeah, I don't think Iran's as strong as they claim either, but they do have a lot of money, and money buys a lot of friends. And that's what I'm scared about. I ain't worried about Iran. They've never been a threat. They're just dudes in robes with a lot of money. The problem is they like hang out with China and Russia. And if they get in a skirmish, one of their buddies is liable to stand up and back them up. And if that's the case, those two dudes are a little bigger than Iran is. You know what I'm saying? And they might give you a black eye. You really don't want to pick a fight with those guys. So we'll see. Maybe they're on their own. Maybe they're not. I don't know. Amanda says, well, regardless, Trump put the Marines on the ground, so they will stop the bullshit. Yeah, the Marines are on the ground, so it doesn't really matter what the little crazy judge said now, does it? And by the way, if Trump decided to put the Marines in California full force, like go attack and take over, I wonder if they would slow down as they ran over that little crazy judge or all of the little crazy judges. I wonder if it would matter at all. I don't think it would. I think if Trump gave the order, they would all be prisoners. Period. Because that's what the Marines do. They don't bullshit. They're actually Marines, not like the rest of the armed forces who are just, trying to be the wokest, trying to outwoke the next guy. The Marines are still the Marines from what I understand, and they will kick your ass quickly. So we'll have to wait and see what that turns out to be. But I think that's probably what would happen if Trump gave the order. John says, Fab has already been to the Supreme Court. It's already been to the Supreme Court. Okay, so there you go. That was the Supreme Court's order. And Rich S. says, the appellate court allows Trump to keep National Guard in L.A. with Marines on the way. Right on. Fab Daddy says, no, it went to the 9th District Federal Court yesterday. Guaranteed not the Supreme Court in 1-1. Well, it doesn't matter. The 9th District Court is full of woke liberal loonies, and whatever they say doesn't go. They're not the people who run the country. The president, oddly enough, I know it's weird, but it's the president who makes the decisions that the country has to entertain. And when he makes a decision, it's going to happen. They might complain and file paperwork and take things to court and talk to lawyers, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the buck stops at the president, and that's what's going to happen, what the president ordered to happen, because he's the president, duly elected by a landslide. There's no getting out of it. What he says goes. I'm sorry you don't like it, but you'll have your turn again soon enough. And I won't like what your guy does, I'm sure. But I'll have to live with it because he's the president. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I didn't like Joe Biden. I couldn't stand the crazy, loony SOB. But he was the president. And whatever he said had to happen. Even though he wasn't saying it, his staff was. And auto-pinned his way through the whole thing. Whatever. At the time, he was seen as the president. So, like it or not, we have to live by those rules. And you do too. None of this, not my president nonsense. He is your president. Amanda says someone is paying for the riots and delivering masks and bricks and fireworks to the rioters. Yeah, I don't know who that is, but if I had to guess, I'd probably say Alex Soros. They have already arrested one person for it, and they are arresting illegals left and right out there. Yeah. That's one way to do it. One day, says Fab Daddy. I got you. It guaranteed not to go to the Supreme Court in one day. Doesn't matter. It does not matter. Here's the truth. The Supreme Court is majority Republican, which means they're going to err on the side of Trump 99% of the time, as long as it's not illegal. As long as there is precedent for it, and it is constitutionally applicable, the Supreme Court's going to err with Donald Trump. So if it's going to the Supreme Court, you can go ahead and say Trump won. Because he's not doing anything that's not constitutional. As bad as you hate it, he's actually trying to protect the country from an invasion. And that's exactly what's happening right now. The fact that a lot of idiots are rioting is irrelevant. That's just a thing, right? That's done so that you're not looking at the thing that's actually happening. That's why people are paying for it. That's why they're delivering stuff for them to riot with. Printed signs and pallets of bricks and masks and fireworks and other forms of non-lethal weaponry. The reason that that's happening is so that you don't look at what's actually happening, which is Trump defending the country against an invasion. Nobody wants to talk about that part. They want to talk about the riots. It's a magic trick. Look over here while I got my hand up your skirt. See how that works? Fab Daddy says, one day. Amanda says, I think it's great. Fab Daddy says, chasing farm workers from the fields, America is great again. No, America will be great again when the illegals are out of the country and we can get back to making money for the country instead of paying for all the nonsense. When wars are over and we're back to thinking about America first, that's when America will be great again. So don't count your chickens before they hatch, Fab Daddy. Don't get sarcastic too fast, because just like with the tariffs, you'll whine about it, and then it'll work, and then you won't say anything else about it for a while. But just like Trump said it would work, it did work. A little hiccup, everybody pushed, everybody resisted, and then everybody caved and did what he wanted them to do. And it worked, because he's a shrewd businessman that knows what he's doing. Doesn't let his feelings get in the way. Bill Bennett says, to go to the parade, you must register. That way they can screen who is coming. Our enemies would love attacking during the Army's 250th birthday. Okay, so that's what's really going on. They're trying to register who all goes to the parade so that they know who's there. And there's probably an incentive to do so. That's probably what the Bitcoin thing is about. I don't know, but I'm guessing. Amanda says, getting rid of illegal people, that's great. Right on. I agree. It doesn't matter if they're farm workers, Fab Daddy. It doesn't matter if they're doctors or psychologists or police officers. If they're illegal, they've broken the law. They should not be here. They need to go home, period. Free ride home. No violence. Just get in the truck. You're going home. Period. I don't care who they are. You don't get to be here. It's not your country. Bye-bye. If you want to be here, go to the door and knock like everybody else, and then wait for somebody to let you in. Simple. And they're not picking up my vegetables. I'm sorry, that argument doesn't work on me, Fab Daddy. I pick my own vegetables, thank you very much. I also kill my own deer, and I do my own work, and I mow my own grass, and I raise my own children. I'm not a flagrant little ninny that's trying to suck on the teat of the government and allow other people to raise my family. I'm an American. I work hard for what's mine. So don't throw that kind of argument at me again. That's not necessary. Just you saying something like that says you don't know me at all. And you're supposed to be my friend and you don't know no more about me than that? Like that Garcia guy. Such a great guy. Now he's back. Like you wanted him to be back. But he's back with new charges because now he's getting arrested for human trafficking because you pushed the issue and they looked into him. And now they found proof of what he actually was. And now everybody knows. Remember, a week ago, you were asking for that guy to be brought home. You were cheering for that guy a week ago. So at the very least, maybe you should do some calculations and go, I seem to keep cheering for the guy that ends up being a monster. Maybe there's something wrong with my way of thinking. No, you're not going to do that, are you? You're just going to keep cheering for the next guy without knowing a thing. And you, I mean specific, non-specific you. The royal you, whoever's doing it. The Dems got what they wanted. Yes, they did. They always do. Rich says, but the Trump administration immediately appealed the judge's order, calling Breyer's ruling an extraordinarily intrusive on the president's constitutional authority as commander-in-chief, which it is. And by the way, if every time the president makes a decision, some little liberal loon in a district court somewhere throws up red flags and stops the whole process. We don't have a president. The court is making policy for the country, an unelected official making policy for everybody. Sorry, that's not how this country works. You can whine all you want. That's not how you do it. That's going to be they're going to put a stop to that. Write it down that I said so. It's going to get to the point where they want to allow district courts to make those kinds of stops on the president because all they're doing is abusing it. They're not using it to check and balance. They're abusing it. They're trying to stop everything Trump does. And that's going to backfire. Oh, Lord. Linda Davis says, nope, they're criminals for entering our country or any country illegally. Right on. It don't matter whose vegetables they're picking. Fab Daddy says, Senator Padilla arrested for wanting to ask a question to Kristi Noem. While she was talking, he was being disruptive and he should have got arrested. And by the way, politics is tomorrow night. Politics is gay, says Fab Daddy. Did you just misgender politics, Fab Daddy? Did you just call something gay? I think you need to check with your base. That's probably a microaggression of some kind, and you're probably doing some kind of istophobe thing by saying so. You might want to look into that, buddy. Amanda says, arrested for rushing her, not just asking questions, and you can't reach someone in a threatening manner. No, you can't. And he was doing that, and there's video of it, so. What it is says Iran needs to be spanked. Yeah, I just hope it ain't us that has to step in and do it. I hope that Israel can handle it on their own, and I hope that it ends and is resolved with them on their own. I hope we don't have to get involved. We probably already are involved. I don't know yet, but I hope we're not. Rich says, there is a serious problem with sleeper cells of Iranian sympathizers here in the U.S. Sleepy Joe, to thank for that. Oh, we got a £5. Ain't much, says John. Thank you, John. I appreciate you, buddy. That's nice, that £5. And which reminds me, don't you guys want to have a cup of coffee with me while we argue about politics? If so, go to the kitchen, pour yourself a nice hot cup of coffee, and let's get to arguing. I'm going to win, but it's okay. I'll give you a shot. If you don't have a cup, though, look down in the description below. There's one there. There's one with my face on it. It's fantastic. Grab that cup. But there's also other things down there like tumblers, stainless steel with locking lids, Untethered Live Bible Study logo on the front, all my platforms on the back. They look great on a coffee table. They hold your coffee hot for hours. Get one while supplies last once you do that. Or get a t-shirt. Also, like, subscribe, share, support, join, or super chats are available in the chat box. If you want to show a little love, if you want to throw a little clang-a-lang in my pocket, if you want to, you can do that over there. But more especially, you can do that by going to CashApp, $ Jake Johnson Band. I do appreciate that very much. You have no idea how much. Now, there's one other thing. If you would like to talk about all this outside of YouTube where you're not being observed by the shadowy overlords and I'm not misinterpreting everything you write down, you can do that over at facebook.com/UntetheredLive family. It's all one word. The link is in the chat. Go check it out. It's a great place to hang out, share pictures, videos, texts, and chats, and get to know one another away from here. And chances are I won't even see it, so that's even better. It's all you guys. Now back to you. It's a good cup of coffee. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of sleeper cells of different kinds over here. Seems to be we have a lot of that on college campuses mostly, which tells you another part of the problem. It's mostly our children acting foolish. And I wish they would stop doing that. I wish parents would get to beating on their youngins again. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying. Bill Bennett says, I think most of the world's oil go through their land The Strait of, I don't remember or know. I don't remember or know what I'm talking about. LOL, sounded good. Yeah, the Strait. Yeah, we buy most of our oil from Iran. We can make our own oil, by the way, but we buy most of it for some reason. I don't know why. And our gas prices are absolutely going to go up as a result of this, and that's a thing you need to worry about because war is expensive, and every time there is one, prices go through the roof. So that's what I'm concerned about. That, and secondarily, us getting involved with the war and sending troops over there to fight in yet another war that we don't have anything to do with and don't want to do. That's not God. When God tells you to go fight a war, you go fight it and you win it. But when man decides to fight wars, you typically lose it. That's what's going to happen now if we get involved. Because this is not God's ordinance. This is not God's ordinance. Amanda says, come on, Fab, tell the entire story. You think you can? Fab Daddy says, the speaker calling for someone to be tarred and feathered. Political divisions suck ass. Why? Because it's you on the low end of it? It don't suck ass when you're winning. I think you need to put your own perspectives in check there, buddy. And know that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And it's going to swing the other way eventually. Right now, it's swinging your way. It's been swinging my way for quite some time, so it's quite a nice reprieve. What it is says, most Chicanos, which are Mexican-American, have served in the Marines. I'm sure they're telling these youngsters, you're not doing right by doing this. Maybe. Amanda says Newsom needs to have his dumbass in jail. I don't know if he's done anything worthy of going to jail or not. He probably has. He is evil. But mostly he's just a slimy politician. I don't know if that's worthy of jail, but he definitely needs to be kicked out of power. He ain't doing no favors for California. John H. says, Trump is the commander-in-chief. He has the power and the control. Yes, he does. Fab Daddy says, back the blue till it happens to you. No, I back the blue even when it happens to me, because when it happens to me, I'm usually in the wrong. And they're doing the job that they were hired to do. Rich S. says, Fab Daddy, the P.O.S. Padilla, acted entitled and above the law. He said if they won't allow a U.S. senator to ask questions, you can only imagine what they're doing to farmers, to cooks, and to day laborers. Well, the U.S. senator wasn't asking questions. He was bum rushing Kristi Noem when she was talking. It wasn't his turn to talk. He shouldn't have been doing that. He was acting like a child. He deserved to get taken out. And by the way, I doubt he's going to do any time over it. They just probably held him in contempt of court for 24 hours. Patty says, John, cowabunga. Fab Daddy says, it's not a riot, it's a protest. Yeah? Well, I tell you what. Go back through history and look at protests. And tell me how many of them have things on fire in the background. And then you'll see the ones that are not protests. They're riots, like the one that's going on right now. The military don't get called to protest. It's a constitutionally protected a right for you to protest. You can go anywhere, anytime, and let your voice be heard peacefully and protest. The moment you break the law, it is no longer a protest. And the moment you destroy property or get in somebody's way and hurt them, or any of the number of things these people have been doing for weeks on end, months on end, years on end, that's illegal. And you can't do that. And that's not a protest. That's like yelling fire in a crowded theater. That is absolutely protected speech. You can do that. I know they use that as an example of what not to do, but more truthfully, it's an example of free speech that has a consequence. If you yell fire in a crowded theater, you will suffer consequences for doing so, but you have the right to do it. If you say the wrong thing to me, I will punch you in the nose. But you have the right to say it. But I have the right to respond to it also. See? Words have consequences. But protests and riots are not the same thing. The minute you burn something, it's a riot. And by the way, just ask, if these people are protesting, why are they waving Mexican flags? Didn't they want to come to this country to get away from that one? Isn't the narrative that they're leaving their desolate lives to come to the land of opportunity? And shouldn't everybody be allowed to have the American dream? Why are they waving the Mexican flag? Why are they showing pride for the country they're trying to get out of? Does that sound right to you? Or is there sending mixed signals? Amanda says, I bet you think it's peaceful too, right, Fab? Fab says, my prices aren't dropping. Tariffs suck. Your prices aren't dropping because you live in California. Think about what you're saying. And Amanda says, what is a riot to you, Fab Daddy? And Fab Daddy says, it is Amanda. It is Amanda. No, it isn't. There's nothing peaceful about that. John says, in other countries, if you're an illegal worker there, they will deport you or fine the company or close the company forever. Right. You're not supposed to be illegal in any country. If you think you are, why don't you go to Mexico right now and overstay your visa and see what happens? I guarantee you they'll kick you out too, because even they have laws. Fab Daddy says, I have been watching YouTube streamers showing the truth, not the mass media lie. Okay. If you think that what you're seeing is the whole story, then be my guest. Believe what you want to believe. But I'm pretty sure you have eyes. And if you use them, I'm pretty sure you can't go along with it forever. Amanda says, riot takes part in a violent public disturbance. That's what the word riot means. Right. And they are being violent and disturbing the public. Linda Davis says, seriously, Fab, now you just sound ignorant. I have an open mind to politics, but what you just said is so wrong. Open your eyes and your mind. Amen. Tell him, Linda. I don't think he is looking. I think he's trying to believe what the hype is. I think it takes more faith to believe that nonsense than anything I believe. Rich S says, I'm pretty sure throwing rocks, Molotov cocktails, and lighting cars on fire equals a riot. I'm pretty sure you're right. And Amanda says, his full-time job was human trafficking and trafficking children. You're talking about the Garcia guy, right? Well, he's back now. They got their wish. They brought him back. They've extradited him, and now he's getting charged for life for being a real monster. But it's beautiful because now everybody gets to see who they were supporting a week ago. They were cheerleading this guy a week ago. And now they found out he's a monster. And I guarantee you, not one of them, not one liberal will go, oh, I was wrong about that. Maybe I shouldn't have protested that guy's being kicked out of the country. Maybe Trump had that one right. Not one of them will say that. Guarantee it. Amanda says, but his kids need him. No, they don't. Fab Daddy says, not until proven guilty. Well, he will be, because he is guilty. Amanda says, hang on. Where'd it go? Good gracious. You guys are killing it tonight. Okay, I got it. Amanda says they have him on video doing it, Fab Daddy. So he has been proven guilty. Fab Daddy says, without a reasonable doubt, it's on video. Deep fake. Could be. Could be. If you want to keep doing mental gymnastics to try and avoid judging the guy for what he is, be my guest. I don't want to live in that complicated of a world, Fab Daddy. I like seeing what my eyes see and believing it and just living that way. I don't want to have to do mental gymnastics to believe in something. I don't want to have to twist myself up like a pretzel just to stay with the narrative that I know is bullshit. I don't want to do that. I don't want to put blinders on and avoid seeing things that clearly show that I'm wrong just so that I can feel justified in what I said earlier. You do you, boo. I can't do that. Amanda says, police body cam is a deep fake? Wow, you're delusional. Well, I'm not saying that they can't deep fake police body cams. In fact, I'm sure they're already doing something like that. I'm just saying the guy's guilty as homemade sin. That's why they kicked him out of the country in the first place. And now we got to put him in jail for the rest of his life and pay to have him there just to prove a point. We could have just left him in El Salvador and let bygones be bygones. But now we got to go through the rigmarole. And if he's been human trafficking, it's probably time we did that. Rich S says, Fab Daddy, you're trolling now. No way you can be serious. Well, I've been saying that for years. I really think that he just provides content for me. I really think he's doing me a service and a solid. I might be wrong about that, but he's never said I was. I've mentioned it several times, and he's never said, nope, I really believe what I'm saying. So we just have to keep guessing. But it is interesting. It is comedy gold for us conservative thinking people. And I love it when they try to pin me as a Republican, though. I'm not a Republican. I'm a conservative. There's a difference. Amanda says, thanks, Nugget, for that £5. I appreciate that, buddy. Fab Daddy says, I know that I can't bounce any balls off your walls. You are smarter than the average bear. I know that I can't bounce any balls off your walls. I'm not sure what that means. But I am smarter than the average bear, and thank you for noticing. Bill Bennett says, I heard Benjamin Netanyahu say he and Israel stand with Iran people. I guess he was saying time for new leaders. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I like Benjamin Netanyahu. I've seen things that I don't know about. Obviously, I support Israel and their right to defend themselves. Obviously, I think they have every right to be in the piece of property that they're in. I think it goes back to biblical times, and I think they have a legitimate claim on the land. That being said, the people that currently inhabit Israel are not my problem. And I hold no particular bond or allegiance to those people. And when I see something, I say something, you know. Like I just said to Fab Daddy, I don't bend myself in pretzels trying to follow the narrative. If something looks wrong, I say it looks wrong. And that Benjamin Netanyahu guy, my discernment bell goes off when I look at his eyes, if that makes any sense. I don't think he's completely forthwith with who he is as a human being. And I'm not entirely convinced he's a good guy. That being said, I don't really care. It's Israel. It's not my country. I don't have to live in that world. So I don't care what they do over there. If they're okay with it, I'm okay with it. You can't see it from my house. But I have reservations about that person. How do you feel about him? Amanda says, how about bouncing legitimate balls then? Amanda says, we have to buy the oil. Biden sold all ours. Trump is fixing that soon. Amen, sister. Yeah, we used to have a massive reserve of oil. There's a cave somewhere. I think it's in Wyoming, but I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, there's a mountain, and there's a cave under the mountain, and we keep oil there. And it used to be full. Lots and lots of oil. Enough oil that we could run for 5 years. Run this country for 5 years off of that oil. And Biden's regime sold it all. So now we have no reserve. So we have to buy the oil that's coming from Iran right now, or start pumping our own and trying to catch up with it that way. There is enough oil in Alaska and in America that we could live for the next 1,000 years burning 24/7, everybody. But we don't get it for some reason. I don't know why. Nobody's giving me a good argument as to why. Maybe because we don't want to drill oil in this country. Maybe a fracking thing. I don't know. Rich S says, crude oil comes in different grades, generally categorized in density, light versus heavy, and sulfur content, sweet versus sour. The U.S. primarily produces light, sweet crude, ideal for gasoline. Right on. But many U.S. refineries, especially those along the Gulf Coast, are geared up to process sour, heavy crude, the kind produced in countries like Canada and Venezuela. Yeah, I did say something about that one time. I said there was only 2 refineries that could handle the oil that we were fracking in America. So we had to go out to do it in other countries. And I didn't know everything about the whole situation, but that's what I was to understand. And somebody said, no, we got like 300 of them. I was like, no, there's only 2. Turns out there's only 2 that are set up to process the kind of oil that we have. That's the whole part of that I wasn't saying before. Rich says, that's why we import so much oil from other sources. Right on. Fab Daddy says, so January 6th is a riot or a protest? Neither. January 6th was what happens every January 6th. There were some agent provocateurs there causing problems, but for the most part, that happens every time we have an election. People go to the Capitol. In this instance, everybody went to the Capitol, so there's a lot of people there. But it was no more or no less anything other than what it always is. What made it a big deal is the way people were presenting it. Kevin Bernard says, hello, Jake, and hello, everyone. Hey, Kev, what's up, my friend? Rich S says, hey, Kev. Amanda says, hi, Kevin. Linda says, hi, Kevin. Now, don't get me wrong. There was behavior going on in January 6th that should never have happened. But the people went to the Capitol, which is called the People's Building, because it belongs to the people who pay taxes. They were not trespassing and had no idea that they were. They did not go there to take over the Capitol. They went there to visit it and to make their voices heard that they didn't like this whole thing. That's it. There was no riot. It was just people, a lot of them, in one place. That's all. That happens all the time. They just made a big deal out of it this time. And by the way, they could have had the National Guard there to fix that problem too, but Nancy Pelosi turned them down 3 times. 3 times Trump tried to get the National Guard there, and 3 times he was ignored. So you can thank the governor of D.C., Nancy Pelosi, and the police, the D.C. police, who were all in cahoots to do nothing. There's countless videos of police officers leading people through the Capitol building on a tour, and those same people were arrested later for trespassing. There's videos of them opening the doors for people and telling them to come in. So no, it's not the same thing that's happening in California right now. No matter how you twist it, no matter which narrative you jump onto, it's not the same thing, buddy. Hypocrisy at its finest. Oh, yeah? In what way have I been hypocritical? Name it. Saying a thing doesn't make it so, buddy. Where's the evidence? Show me the receipts. I can back up every word I've said. Can you? What about what I just said or what I've said so far has been hypocritical? Don't just say it. Name it. Kevin says, hello, Rich, Amanda, and Linda. And hello, Fab Daddy, says Kevin. Amy's here. There she is, Linda. Amy says, evening, y'all. Like, share, and invite some friends. Hello, my comedic friend, Amy. Nice to see you. And Debbie, where you at? And Angela, where you at? And Aaron, where you at? Amanda says, hi, Amy. Kevin says, hello, Amy. Sue Wood says, hello. Hello, Sue. Welcome back. How are you? Amanda says, hi, Sue. Oh, Sue's a cute. Kevin says, hello, Sue. How do you do? Now you gonna die? I'm sorry. Bill Bennett says, Fab, get out of California or run for office and change things. Right on. If he ran for office, he'd do exactly what they're doing because he believes exactly what they believe. That's the problem. Or he's just leaning into the other side to help me create content, one or the other. I choose to believe the latter. I choose to believe that he is actually on my side, and he supports me by helping me think of ways to talk, putting up opposition so that I get fired up because he knows people like it when I rant. I think that's what's happening. At least I choose to believe that. That's my personal reality. Linda says, Amy, thank God you were here. I missed you lighting up my Friday nights. Oh, that's so sweet. Kevin says, hello, Bill. And Bill Bennett says, the cartel will steal and kill you. We are lucky to be Americans. Right on. Bill Bennett says, thank you, Lord. Yes, thank you, Lord, we are Americans. Sue says, I'm worried about the protests tomorrow in my city, and they're taking place only 3 miles from my house. What city are you in, Sue? I'd be worried, too, if you're close to those protests, because those people are crazy. And I hope that you have sense enough to stay clear of all that, if it's at all possible. Amanda says, and watching Politico and MSNBC and CNN and ABC on YouTube is still fake news. Right on. Debbie says, I've seen some of the protesters thinking that California belongs to Mexico. Evidently, they skipped the day they were taught the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, 1848. Apparently, they did, Debbie. It seems to me that most of the people that are currently involved in protests think that time started in the year 2000. Patty says, Mexico is different, like the travel folder says. Amy says, hi, Susie, Kevin, Amanda, Fab, Debbie, Bill, and anyone I missed. You missed me. You didn't say hey to me. I know you said hey to me, though. Linda says, Fab, January 6th was a protest until someone gave bad orders. I personally know what it was like there on that day. There you go. Amy says, stay safe, Susie, and everyone. And the parade tomorrow, there's supposed to be a protest by the Kings or somebody. Where's the parade taking place, Amy? Is that a D.C. thing? That happened in D.C.? Or is it New York or what? Amanda says, that's what Fab said last week, but his kids need him. Right on. Pardon me, my nose is itching. Don't blow your nose on camera, Jake. It's unprofessional. Stay in the Lord's army. You like my new background, everybody? Amanda Banhammer designed the logo and the neon light. What do you think? Amy says, why do people want to support illegals? They broke the law when they entered without permission. I don't know. Personally, I think they just get carried away with narratives. I think it's the higher-ups that want to protect their investments and their cheap labor force, and I think the lower downs just want to run with the narrative because they're on that side, and I don't think they put any more thought in it than that. Because if you ask them individual questions like, do you think people should be allowed to be here illegally? They'll say no. Do you think people should be able to come in and break the law? No. Do you think people should be able to just ignore the rule of our country and just do whatever the hell they want to? No. Do you think they should fly flags from other countries in our country? No. Do you think we should let illegals in? Yes, they're undocumented. See what I mean? Amy says, body cams are my favorite genre. They are fake body cams. There are? No, I've never looked into it, so I don't know if they are or not. Amy says, but the fake ones are easy to spot. Bad actors, timestamps, same actors in multiple videos. I got you. Debbie says, Fab Daddy, January 6th was one afternoon. What the liberals are doing have done, the Summer of Love and now the Summer of Love 2.0, is years, and that is a big difference. There's a good point I didn't make. Thank you, Debbie. Bill Bennett says, God-fearing, loving humans. Amen, Bill. And yeah, Fab Daddy, why is it that y'all keep throwing January 6th in our face? That was one afternoon. It wasn't even a whole day. It was just like from noon onward till dark. Nobody overthrew anybody. Nobody brought any weapons. There were not mass casualties. There were a few things that happened, but none of them had to do with the protests. And overall, it was a pretty... I mean, they were trying to overthrow the country, but they stayed behind the velvet ropes. You know? Most people that are trying to overthrow a country don't observe the velvet ropes, I'm just saying. And they usually don't forget to bring their weapons. And they usually don't send all their old people. Fab Daddy says, right, Debbie. Amanda says, right, Debbie. I agree 100%. Tyler says, I'm late, but I'm here. What's up, Tyler? Nice to see you. Come on in, take your shoes off. It's going to be good tonight. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, support, join Super Chat, and if you can. Amy Elizabeth says, knitting Yahoo. Yahoo. Kevin says, Debbie, good point. Yes, it was. Debbie's smart. Don't let her fool you. Amy says, Diddy used all the oil. That's baby oil. And he probably had to resort to motor oil at some point. Bill Bennett says, we have enough of strategic oil supply for 24 hours, so I heard. That's not good. We used to have enough for an entire year or 5 years, depending on who you listen to. But now we have none. And Amanda says, drill, baby, drill. Yeah, there's a lot of oil in fracking. I don't know why they don't just loosen up all the red tape on that and let them go wild for about 5 years and build up our reserves. A lot of good oil in fracking. Linda says, LOL, Amy, I don't particularly care about the variables. Obviously, when you use land industrially, it's going to destroy the land to some degree, but there's strategic locations where you can do that at. John says, just eating an apple turnover. Got a sweet tooth. Well, I'm glad you can eat an apple turnover. That's got a little crunch to it, don't it? That's good. That means you're making progress. Amanda says, yummy nugget. Amy says, hi, John. Nugget. And John says, hi, Amy Hart. John says, anybody heard from Aaron? I spoke to him last night. I don't know why he's not here tonight, though. I might need to send him a message. Amy says, January 6th was mostly peaceful protest. Like a real one? Aaron has his hands full tonight. His girlfriend is dying. That's right. I did hear about that. That sucks, man. He's a good man. Amanda says, yep, yesterday, and he's been under the weather a little bit. John says, prayers for her and him. Thank you, John. Amy says, hey, I just noticed you've got your studio back. I'm back. Internet's banging. Started off, as soon as we started, I had a yellow warning light come on that said I wasn't sending out enough video, but everybody said the video looked fine. I was just getting a warning for no reason, I guess, and now it's gone. It says excellent connection, so we're back. Back in the studio, back in the saddle again. Thank you for putting up with me being on the phone for a month. That was not my choice to do it that way, but I'm glad I was able to get the live streams out anyway. Linda says, a lot of the cops were chit-chatting with people. Oh, yeah, on January 6th. Yeah, they were leading them around. It was like a tour. They were giving tours. Nobody at that building on that day knew what everybody knew the day after. Nobody there knew that. Nobody there was thinking that way at all, not even the cops. They didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know what the narrative was going to be. They didn't know how the higher-ups were going to run with that story and call it worse than 9/11. I mean, come on. That, I think, should have been illegal to say. I don't know why people were allowed to say that. Pardon me. Goodies. Good for the spirit. All right. Worse than Pearl Harbor, somebody said. That would have been Morning Joe, I think. I can't believe that guy's still on the air either. What It Is says, praying for Aaron. Thank you, What It Is. I'll make sure he knows that everybody's praying for him. Amanda says, yes, Amy, it's great being back in the studio. It's wonderful. I'm so happy to have my stuff back. Kevin says, Fab Daddy, are you a lifelong Democrat? That's a good question, Fab. Sue Wood says, my name must be catchy. It is. Why is that? Everybody like saying it? Amy says, I'm at work a couple of hours and I'm on vacation. Me too. I got to go to work tomorrow for about 4 hours and then I'm the rest of the weekend off. I've been really killing it the last couple of weeks trying to get ahead, and it ain't working. I'm like right on the edge of survival. I'm making just enough money to get by every week. It's like if my truck blew up, it would be catastrophic. As long as everything keeps working, I'm doing good. I'm like doggy paddling, my head's above water, but as long as I keep doing this, I'm all right. But we're getting there, one day at a time. Amy says, I love you, Susie. I love you too, Susie, and I don't even know you yet, but I hope you stick around long enough for me to get to know you. Linda says, woohoo, Amy. What is that? Chicken legs, umbrella, and a bouquet of roses, I think. Hang on, my chat jumped. There we go. What it is says, all that cartel bullshit can be stopped. I agree. That wall has a lot to do with it. We need to finish that thing. Sue says, I'd rather not say my city here. That's fine. I wasn't asking specifics. I was just asking where in the world you were, generally speaking. You don't have to say your exact city. And Amanda says, understood. What state? And Amy says, Sue lives near a desert. Okay. Sue says, the local police put out a statement and a video about the protest tomorrow, and it sounded like they're expecting it to get bad. Well, I hope that you're all right, and please stay out of it. Don't go down there if you can avoid it. Don't get in the middle of it, because that's how things happen. And we'll add you to our prayers, and hopefully the Lord will look out for you. And just mind your business, keep your head down, and get what you got to get done, and get back to the house. The best place you could be is at your house. Amy says, the parade to honor the Army's birthday. Right on. That's what I was asking. Where is that going to be taking place at? I'm guessing D.C. What it is says, here's some hay for you, Jake. Hey. Thank you, what it is. Patty says, our president birthday. Trump's birthday? I don't know when his birthday is. Fab Daddy says, tomorrow is No Kings Protest Day. It's a national get out and protest for no kings. I don't know what that means. Considering we don't have kings in this country, it's a kind of a silly protest. Unless it's some kind of gang thing. Talk about kangs. I don't know. Rich S says, what does a gay horse eat? Hey. That was easy. Don't tease me what it is. What it is says, I like the blue. It looks calm and cool and collective. Thank you. I thought so too. I've got a red one also. I think that might be what you're responding to. And I think I like the blue one better. It feels right. The blue works for me. And I'm not really a blue guy. I like black and, dark colors, muted colors. But for some reason, that color blue just works for me. I think I agree with you there, what it is. I think it's going to stay there for a while. And I like the logo. Here, take a good look at it. Welcome to Untethered Live. That logo makes me want to talk in that voice. Welcome back to QR105. I'm your host, Jay-Z Jazz, ready to rock and roll. Now, for some easy listening, the Bangles. John says, there's only one king I know, and that's God. Amen, brother. What it is says, background sign. Linda Davis says, what? Rich S? Rich S says, hey. I do that too well. I should stop doing that. Amy says January 6th, one day versus thousands of violent protests by the left. No comparison. I agree, 100%. Amanda says, LOL, Rich. And Linda says, I was going to say, hey. Debbie says, the Maryland dad should have thought about his kids or future kids before they become a heinous criminal. And by the way, all criminals that get caught are separated from their kids. I'm thinking, right? Yeah, if you get pulled over for a DUI and they take you to jail and you have your kids in the car, you get separated from your kids. That's just the way it works. In other words, that's called getting arrested. And, if you have kids, you're still getting arrested. Fab Daddy says the J6 mention is to watch you pretzel up in response. I just see it, tell it. Really? What part of anything that I've said makes you think I'm pretzeling up and putting on blinders and jumping through hoops to believe in what I believe? Every word I said was matter of fact and is on video. So exactly what do you mean by pretzel up? And by the way, there's a chorus of people here that you can ask by comparison. Does anyone else think that I pretzel up when I'm talking about January 6th? Does anyone else think I'm wearing blinders or follow the narrative? Or am I just speaking plain, pure common sense as to what actually occurred? That's the difference, Fab Daddy. You just say a thing. I say a thing with receipts and backup. I'm not guessing. I'm not putting out a narrative that other people present. I'm not following the lines of news. I'm not repeating talking points. I'm just telling you what occurred, what I saw with my own eyes. And everyone agrees with me on that point, I think. And if they don't, they're welcome to say so, but I think they all agree with me on that point. And if they all agree with me on that point, I'm not pretzeling up very much now, am I? Just because you say a thing don't make it so. A minute ago, you called me a hypocrite, and I asked you to point out what I said that was hypocritical, which you have not done yet. So, hypocrite and pretzeling up. Point it out. Don't just say it. Show me. Stand up with your big boy pants on and show me what I said that made you think that. That's called being accountable for your own words. These are my words, not something the news said. Amy says baby oil is made from petroleum byproduct. Right on. Debbie says Fab Daddy thinks there should be mini cages next to adult cages so the kids are close because they need their parents. That would be a way to do it. Rich says, I don't know what I would do without baby oil. Probably rub raw, I'm guessing. I don't use baby oil. I'm a man. Spit works just fine. Amanda says, LOL, Rich. Amy says, use Jergens, Rich. Jerkins. Is there a lotion called Jerkins? And if there is, how come nobody's ever pointed that out? Jerkins. Rich S says, Linda says coconut oil is a good substitute, Rich. It might be kind of hard to get through all those little hairs, though. Debbie says, Fab Daddy, who is the king you were protesting? I think we think Trump is the king. He'd be wrong. Angela, hello, darling. She says, I just stopped by to tell you all I love you. I'm at the lake with my son and grandkids. Well, Angela, enjoy yourself at the lake, and we love you too, and thank you for stopping by and saying hello, and we appreciate the view and the visit. Come see us for Bible study for sure, though. Amanda says, hi, Angela. Debbie says, Jake is drinking Ghost Pop. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, because it's invisible? Yeah. Rich says, have fun, Grandma. Right on. John says, they're only doing their job, cops and army, to protect and serve. I agree. Linda says, hi, Angela. Have a great time and enjoy your family. Amen to that. I'm so glad you have a family to enjoy. And here's to you. Amy says, J6 had feds in the crowd trying to instigate and incite people into doing something. It should not have happened, but it is not as bad as MSM made it out to be. One side was peaceful, one side not so much, and that one side was mostly agent provocateurs and feds. I agree, 100%. It should not have happened the way that it happened. It wasn't going to happen the way that it happened, which is why they had to add people to make it happen the way they happened, and they were only able to just barely make it happen enough that they could call it what they called it, and the rest was purely made up. Sorry. January 6th was just another day in D.C. It wasn't that outlandish. It wasn't even that wild by comparison. Look at what's going on in California right now and compare the two. Not even close. Completely different things. That's a riot. That's not. Sue says, you were singing my name. Yep. I sure was. You want me to do it again? Amy says, hi, Angel. I'll sing her name too. Let me see what I can do here. I hadn't done this in a while because my voice has been bad, but I'm feeling all right tonight, except for a little bit of out of breathness, but I can get through that. Here you go, Susie. This is just for you. Oh, no. Hey, bring me a guitar, acoustic. Sorry, I forgot that one was tuned down to a different key. Bring me one of my guitars. Acoustic. Hang on, I got to get another guitar. I forgot that one was tuned to C. It's for playing slide. Yeah. All right, here's you. Oh, Susie cute. Oh, Susie cute. Oh, Susie cute. Baby, I love you. Susie cute. I like the way you walk. I like the way you talk. I like the way you walk. I like the way you talk. Susie cute. Girl, you're my angel in the morning, angel. Closer than my peeps you are to me, baby. Girl, you're my angel in the morning, angel. Kiss me on my cheek before you leave. Who else can I do? Wanna do? I think I'm in love with you for a while, maybe longer if I do. There you go. There's some girls for you. And now I've been copyright claimed and will have to shut down the video. I hope that made you happy. I got to find where I was at in the chat now. Oh, here we go. Angela says, I was at J6, by the way. Gave all my pics and videos to Jim Banks, and then they wouldn't let him on the committee. Yeah, they don't let people on the committee that can poke holes in their bullshit. That's how that works. Sue says, I think it's my 3rd time here. Well, I'm glad you're here. Maybe we'll have a 5th time and a 100th time. Maybe one day you'll have one of those sexy J tags by your name. A man can dream, can he? Angela says, hi, Amy. I missed the dumb show tonight. Ooh, red flags. Took the grands to Danny's Bar for pizza and games. Ice. Sue says, I'm only going out in the morning, but I'm staying home for the rest of the day tomorrow. Good move. I hope you'll stay safe. Amy says, sounds like fun, Angel. Family always comes first. Amen. And Sue says, I'm just worried since it's happening so close. Yeah. Well, anytime something like that's occurring in your area, there's always potential for it to get out of hand and come a little too close to home. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully there's enough adults out there that keeps it under wraps, keeps it under control enough to keep it localized to the downtown areas, and maybe it won't affect you. I hope it won't. Angela says, yep, I actually drank 2 beers. Now it's movie time. That's an idea. I might watch a movie tonight. And Amy says, June 14th is Trump's birthday. Oh, tomorrow. Happy birthday, Trump. Amy says, happy Father's Day to the dads in the stream. Is that also this weekend? I didn't even know. Thank you. And yes, happy Father's Day. I doubt I'll even hear from my kids, but I'll be thinking about them for sure. Amanda says, that was your bedroom voice, LOL. Nice. Angela says, tomorrow we may go bowling for real. I will probably get the lowest score again. Well, up your bowling game. Get out there and hit a strike or get a touchdown or whatever it is you guys do in bowling. I don't know. Amy says he wasn't thinking about his kids when he was committing crimes. Talking about that El Salvador guy. What's his name again? Can't remember his name. Garcia? Yeah, Garcia. Yeah, I said it. Amanda says, right, Amy? He was trafficking other people's kids. Amy says, pretzel up, get salty and mustard. Amen to that. Who is texting me at this hour? It's Aaron telling us he's coming. Angela says, Amy, where I was on January 6th was nothing going on except people climbing up the stairs outside the Capitol building. No Capitol Police, nothing. I was there until 4:30. Nothing on the news was happening. Yeah, the things that did happen were very localized and very controlled and only in a certain area. The rest of the population that was there did not witness any of that. Kind of makes you wonder if it was done that way on purpose. I don't know. I know that's not typically how riots work. Riots are by the very nature out of control, not localized. But I'm pretzeling up. You know, I have to bend over backwards to believe that because the narrative is so far out there that I have to put on blinders so that I can even see what I think is true, according to Fab, who hasn't said anything in a while because I challenged him on his bullshit. And he doesn't have a comeback, which is why he hadn't said anything, I'm guessing. John says, I prefer bagels. Right on. I prefer bread because I'm American. Amy says, yummy bagels and cream cheese. That does sound good. Toasted bagel with cream cheese sounds delicious. Amanda says, Hawk Tui. Angela says, Hawk Tui, LOL. Sorry, I had 2 beers. Hawk Tui, sometimes you got to spit on that thing. Debbie says, Jergens, not jerkins. Ha 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 ha. Either way, it's kind of funny. You have to admit it. It's kind of funny. Rich says, good grief. Right? Angela says, Amanda, great minds think alike. Heart. I watched a video this morning that I thought was hilarious. There was this guy sitting there on a porch, and his wife was sitting behind him drinking a glass of iced tea, and the guy had the video. And he said, I was sitting out here this morning sipping on my coffee, and my wife was out there cutting the grass and doing lots of manual labor out in the yard, working. And I was in the shade sipping my coffee. And the neighbor, Lois, across the street, comes marching over the street into my yard and right up to me, and she says, you should be ashamed of yourself. Your wife is out there working in the yard doing all kinds of physical labor while you're sitting here under the porch sipping your coffee in the shade. You should be ashamed. People like you ought to be hung. And he leaned forward and he said, Lois, I am hung. That's why she's out in the yard cutting the grass. That's funny. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. Amanda says, LOL, Angela. Kevin says, Fab Daddy, do you read this chat or do you just drop occasional comments? That's a good question there, Kevin. Good question. Patty says, coconut oil melts. Eey, gross. That would be a mess. Amanda says, I like vitamin E oil. It works great for lots of things. Especially flicking that one bean. Sue says, oh my, he's gonna serenade me. I can. I did. I hope you enjoyed it. John H. says, I use cocoa butter. Ew. Linda says, yes, Patty. It does over 78 degrees, so you can scoop it and then it becomes slippery. Bonus, it's good for your skin. Coconut oil. And Sue says, I love it. All right. Angela says, oh. If I thought about it, I'm pretty sure I could come up with an Angela one too. I'm sure there's one out there. Sue says, you sing very well. Thank you, darling, but I really don't. My voice is gone. I had complications with COVID-19 and it destroyed my vocal cords. I used to sing very well. Now I'm just scraggling along, just trying to make noise and trying to breathe. And appreciate the vote of confidence. But just for you, so that you can hear what I actually sound like, here's a song I wrote just for you. Enjoy. I'm going to go pee.
Skies and fireworks, people laugh, people flirt all night long. But I just stay. So I drove down to the local bar where people come in their fancy cars and play their games. But I just stare. Then I saw you sitting there, all alone in that empty chair right next to you. I fell in love, oh baby. You looked down and you took my hand. You said, boy, I hope you understand that I'm not a girl that needs a man. I got my life and all my plans, and if you were there, you'd just be in my way. Girl, it ain't gotta be like this. I'd give you everything but just one kiss. I don't care what you say, I fell in love with you anyway. Oh, Elizabeth, you take my breath away. At that bar where we first met, you smiled at me and my palms got wet, and you just looked away. But I just stayed. You said, been in love and it never works. I always end up getting hurt, and I ain't doing that no more. There ain't no way. Oh no, 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 no. You stood up to say goodbye, grabbed your hand with a tear in my eye, and I just walked away. But you just stayed. But you looked down and you took my hand and said, boy, I hope you understand that I'm not a girl that needs a man. I got my life and all my plans, and if you were there, you'd just be in my way. Girl, it ain't gotta be like this. I'd give you everything but just one kiss, and I don't care what you say, I fell in love with you anyway. Oh, Elizabeth, you take my breath away.
All right. There, just for your enjoyment. I hope you liked it. That is Elizabeth, a song I wrote back in 2001, many, many moons ago. Amy says, Jake sounds better every time. Long COVID really hurt his vocal cords. They really did. They put me out of business. Do you have any idea how hard it is to shake your moneymaker when your moneymaker stops shaking? It's very difficult. I am forced to do this for a living, and I'm not doing so good. So it really did hurt me. I invested my entire life into being a musician, and now I can't be one. So c'est la vie. But as long as you guys like the music, I'll keep making it. Amy says, awesome singing, Jake. Thanks. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Amanda says, Sue, have you heard Elizabeth? Well, now she has. And by the way, let me give you guys a little something. I got to get to it. Hang on. A little gift from me to you. All you newcomers, if you so choose, if you like the song you heard and you'd like to hear more, if you want to hear the album that song is on, you can go download it for free. It's yours. All you have to do what is this now? Is this a new thing? No, I want to copy it. Oh, I hit the wrong button. That's what it was. All you have to do is follow this link that I'm going to post in the chat. It's pinned at the top. So click that link or click the 3 dots and follow the link. And that'll take you to the album. You can download it or you can listen to it right there on the website. It's Google Drive, so it won't cost you anything. It's free. All you have to do, this is what I ask. If you listen to this music, share it with somebody else. Listen to it with somebody else in the room or send it to a friend, or it's yours to do with as you please. Once you've downloaded it, you own it. So go share that to whomever you like. It's yours for free. My gift to you for putting up with me. It's not chump either. That's a real gift. I put 20 years of my life into recording and learning how to do that album. I played most of the instruments on that album, and I did all of the engineering and recording myself. And I even did the photo shoot for the pictures that are included. So that's real work for free so that you'll enjoy it. Just share it with somebody. That's all I ask. All right. Moving on. Debbie says, no Debbie songs. Now I will go sit in the corner and stew. No Debbie songs. That seems like a shame. We need to fix that, don't we? I spent my life alone until I met you. I was just a rambling man. Now I'm on a path to redemption and fame. All I can think about is you. Debbie, does Dallas remind you of anyone? Debbie, does Dallas make you think of coming home? Debbie, does Dallas make you alone? All right, I'm going to write that song for real now. Thank you. But now you can't say there's no Debbie songs. It's a sucky song. I didn't have much time to think about it, but give me a minute or two and I'll come up with something decent. Amy says, Debbie, sung to the tune of Lola. Debbie, da-da-da-da-da, Debbie, da-da-da-da, Debbie. That's it. Nah, I think I like Debbie Does Dallas. Debbie Does Dallas remind you of me. Amanda says, LOL, right, Debbie? I have 2 songs. That's right. We have an Amanda song, too. I'll play that one, too, since I'm doing girl songs. Pardon me. I've had more chances to ride and more chances to fall. It's a measure people don't understand. The pleasures in life is a cup of coffee in my hand. I got my first guitar when I was 13. And now I'm pushing 51, but I'm still pretty mean. Amanda, light of my life. Fate should have made you a gentleman's wife. Amanda, light of my life. Fate should have made you a gentleman's wife. All right, that's enough of that. Thank you. Amy says, no, Amanda says, LOL, right, Debbie? I have 2 songs. And Linda says, he didn't do Amanda's song or Linda's on my mind either, Debbie. I'm lying here with Linda on my mind. That's all I know of it. But we'll sit in the corner with you. You don't have nobody puts babies in the corner. Nobody. You ladies are up front. I'll see to that. Don't you ever think anything different. You are the stars of this show. Don't you ever forget it. John says Sunday's Father's Day. Well, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. May your children love you and cherish you and, do more than buy you a tie. Hopefully they'll show up. That would be good. Amanda says, right, Linda. And Aaron's here. He says, what's up, everybody? Hey, Aaron, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. By the way, like, subscribe, share, support, join, super chat, and
now I lay me down to sleep. Pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, VJ, my best friend.
yeah. How many people got their own theme song? I got one.
If I die before I wake.
PJ. All right, that's enough of that. Go away. Okay. Let's see. Aaron says, yo, and Kevin says, hello, Aaron. Thank you, darling. Linda says, Aaron, heart, kissy faces, and prayers. And Amanda says, hello, Aaron. Aaron says, hi, Linda. John says, hi, Aaron. Good to see you, brother. Thumbs up. Aaron says, hugs all around, even for the cats. There's lots of cats outside. We now have 9 kittens, and I just saw 3 more that are up. They're like a month or 2 old. They're eating already, so there's 3 stages of kittens out there. I don't know how many of them there are. I saw 2 of them. So at least 14 cats out there. Kittens. And 12 female cats and a few toms. So it's Jake's halfway house for cats. Jake's Pussy Ranch. Aaron says, Amy, vibrating heart and a smiley face. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. That's a lot of hugs. A lot of hugs. Aaron says, what's up, John? Good to see you too, my dude. My dude. my guy, my dude. Aaron says, I'd hug each one. Thank you. Thank you very much. Amy says, everything is bullshit. Everything is bullshit. That's a fact. Patty says, oh, yes, Miss Linda, we use coconut oil on everything. Wow. Amanda says, you'd be there a bit, Aaron. Lots of them. You'd be there a bit, Aaron. Lots of them. They're everywhere. Yep, we got cats coming out of every direction around here. They're not my cats. They're just cats. We live in a catastrophic place. Catastrophic place. Bad, Jake. Angela says a kid that was there was wearing a Capitol Police helmet, and we asked him where he got it, and he said he found it earlier that morning, and that seemed so odd to us. But then we got to the hotel, and we saw. Right on. We saw something. And my chat jumped. Where'd it go? 10:08. Okay. Aaron says, then I would take the time to hug them. Nice, man. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. Aaron says, pulled pork nacho. Nice. I had egg salad sandwich and chips. Jalapeno kettle chips. Amanda says, OMG, Jake. I don't know what those two things are, but they look dirty. Got peas in a pod and cherry tomatoes. I don't know what that is. OMG, Jake. Debbie says, I have a box of Kleenex next to my Jergens on my nightstand, and I will never look at the same way again. Thanks for that. The very best double entendres burrow into your brain like little worms and stay there for life. Now you live with it. This is what I have to live with on a daily basis. Now you live with it. Angela says, we saw what had been happening in the news, but we couldn't believe it. Now we wonder when it actually happened. The kid took the Capitol Police helmet home with him and over a year later got arrested for it. Kind of makes you wonder what their priorities were, doesn't it? Who was that talking about arresting kids earlier? Imagine arresting a kid for picking something up off the ground at a protest. Amy says, LOL, funny joke, Jake. That's why she was mowing, right? Because he is hung. You should be hung. I am, lady. I am. Why do you think she's out there mowing the grass? Angela says, my nickname is Angel. Yes, it is. And then she puts up a dead smiley face and a sweaty smiley face. Aaron says, sometimes you got to snap the peas. Sometimes. Flicking the beam. Got it. I understood. Amy says, Angel by Tom McDonald. Right on. Amanda says, oh, yeah, Elizabeth. Aaron says, the background is cool. Thank you. You want to see it? Check it out. Pow. The background was brought to you by the Bandhammer herself. She's the designer. It looks wonderful, and I love it. Only there is a light missing at the bottom of the N. Apparently, whoever designed that did not know that fluorescent lights have to connect. Right there. At the bottom of the N and the bottom of the T. You see it? Little things that bother me. Probably nobody ever saw it until I mentioned it. Aaron says the background is cool, though. It is cool. It's wonderful. And it looks great behind me. That blue just sets the right mood, I think. It's a good job. Amanda says, thanks, Aaron. I had fun making it. There's more. I have a red one of those and other ones. Matter of fact, if y'all got time, we might look through some of them. John says, I'm going to have some legal nachos. Right on. What's a legal nacho? Amy says, Jake Johnson original called Elizabeth. Thank you. One of the many songs that I've written. That one's actually been on the radio before. Aaron says, you made that? Yes, she did. Amanda says, I did. Aaron says, that's what's up, John. Aaron says, skills. She's got skills. Amanda says, I'd give you everything but just one kiss. Amy says, I picked some beans the other day. Don't brag. I remember as a kid sitting snapping beans for the freezer for canning, and I hated it as a kid. It's nostalgic now as an adult. Oh yeah, many a days with a big bowl on my lap full of beans or peas rather, shelling peas with my granny. And my mom, my sister, my granny, and me all out there shelling peas by the pillowcase fulls. I remember those days. We don't do that anymore. I wonder why. We should. We should make our kids sit out on the front porch and shell peas. Seems to have done something to us. Amanda says, I fell in love with you anyway. And Amanda says, I made a few of those backgrounds, and he's going to switch them out eventually. I like this one, though. I might keep this one. That might be the standard background for Chill Stream. I like it. Amy says, no. I'm sad, but I beat Amanda. You did. You got it. And Linda says, oh, no. And Aaron says, I saw your pictures, Amy. Sue says, this is awesome. So calming. Thank you. Maybe one day I'll actually be able to sing for you and it won't be so scratchy and I can actually hit notes. Amanda says, cheated, Linda. How does she cheat? Amanda says, oh, no. And Amy says, early, but I beat Amanda. Right on. John says, doing good. Got the munchies, Aaron. I hope you are okay, brother. I'm glad you got the munchies. That's a good sign. That means you're healing up nicely. Amanda says, LOL, y'all got to do it early to beat me. Angela says, I only buy fresh green beans and snap them myself. I like the texture of fresh green beans so much better than canned green beans. I agree with you, 100%. I prefer fresh everything. Patty says, $1 million song right there. Thank you, Patty. God bless you, sweetie. Linda says, LOL, it went to a commercial and I thought I would have missed it, Amanda. That's all right. If you missed it, I'd play it again for you. You just got to let me know. Amy says, I have pepper and cucumber blossoms too. Nice. And Amanda says, LOL. Oh, Linda. Amy says, 9 huge tomato plants in my porch garden, meaning in planters, not in the ground. Hey, as long as they're growing, that's all that matters. Planters are fine. Probably easier to keep the squirrels out of them that way, too. Aaron says, post some pics. Okay, I will. Amy says, I did, Aaron. Oh, you're not talking to me. Sorry. Aaron says, I'll go look. Angela says, I have my sunflowers growing, Amy, and they're up to my chest now. And the ones that have survived my dog, that is, Lucy's walking through them. Aaron says, I might get some pointers from you. Patty says, thank you, Jake. Thank you, Patty. God bless you. I'm glad you enjoyed the song. And please do go download that. If you guys haven't done so already, please go download the album and enjoy. I hope you enjoy the music that's on it. Only one of them is one I wrote. They're all cover songs. It's a demo album, but it is an album, and it is full length, and it is free. So that's why you get a free album. Amy says, I love sunflowers, God's natural cleanser. They plant them near nuclear accident sites to heal the soil. That's nice. And Sue says, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing your talents. My pleasure, Sue, and I hope you enjoyed it. Amanda says, I love sunflowers too, Amy. And night blooming jasmine. I got some jasmine right outside my window over here. Right behind the neon sign. Fat Daddy says, I was sharing Elizabeth with my neighbors. Excellent. Thank you. Amanda says, thanks, Fab. Absolutely. Thank you. Aaron says, I didn't know that, Amy, about the sunflowers. Amy says, old Debbie sung to the tune of Elvira. Giddy up, boom, bop, ow, mow. Sue says, did you just make that up on the fly? I did. Oh my, you are impressive. No, I was just making nonsense up. It didn't even rhyme. I can do better, but I didn't have time. Amanda says, LOL, yes, he did, Sue. And Debbie says, Dallas reminds me of the time I learned to do reverse cowgirl. Yeehaw. Nice. I had to put that in the song. Angela says, Lamau, Jake. Debbie does Dallas. I'm cracking up. My first porn I watched was Debbie and The Devil and Mrs. Jones. It had a great plot. I remember The Devil and Mrs. Jones. And also Deep Throat. Those were the way they tried to make porn go in the 70s. It didn't last long. The plot went by the wayside. Let's just get to the making everything wet. Aaron says, Debbie, LOL. The Devil and Mrs. Jones. That's a good movie, actually. Amanda says, yep. I love how he sings this song. Aw. And LOL, Debbie. And Sue says, wow, this is such talent. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate it. I wish you could have heard me when I actually was good. Debbie says, you're going to make me swoon over the Dr. Hook. I like Dr. Hook. And John says, great song. You got a great one there, Jake. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Download the rest of the album and see what you think of those songs. None of them are mine, but they're all good. Angela says, I planted my sunflowers on accident, LOL. They grew by my back landing where I threw sunflower seeds out all winter to feed the squirrels, chipmunks, and birds. And they grew, so I thinned them out. Smart move. What is that, a person bowling? Is that what that is? Or is that a person getting ready to kick the world? I can't tell which. Amanda says, magic coffee cup. Okay, I'll identify as that. Sue says, sunflowers are my favorite flower. Sunflowers and red roses are my favorite bouquet. Oh, nice. I don't think I've ever seen red roses with sunflowers. My sister works at a florist. I'll have to tell her about that. She probably knows. Angela says, I love iris flowers. I'm odd. I like orchids for obvious reasons. Aaron says, I've never seen one. Amanda says, thank you, Jake, for my namesake song from the best singer with my favorite guitar. Thank you, sweetheart. And orchids, says Angela. See? Great minds. Sue says, you're a good man with respect for women, obviously. Got to respect the ladies. And I'm definitely pro-lady. I don't know why anybody would ever do otherwise. It seems obvious to me. You take care of the ladies, and your life will be wonderful. I don't know why people don't do that. Aaron says, Angela, look up African orchid. I've seen one in real life. Nice. Angela says, look them up, Aaron. They are cool looking flowers. The irises, I'm assuming. Or orchids. I don't know which. Aaron says, I'll check it out. And Linda says, my daughter said she's taking me out for Father's Day. You know you're doing something right when you get gifts on the other day. Aaron says, so cool, Linda. And Amanda says, Jake's whorehouse for cats. Angela says, kits, cats, men, and wives. How many was going to St. Ives? Nice. Aaron says, LOL, stray pussy house. I like it. Kitty brothel, says Amanda. Amy says, remember the group, the Stray Cats? Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. Never heard them before. Who were they? Stray Cats. Yep, that's Brian Setzer's band. I think Brian Setzer was in that band. I might be wrong about that, but that's what I have in my brain anyway. Linda Davis says, I know at least my son Tom will be here this weekend to help fix my furnace. Hopefully, we will have a few more come, and the dad too. Hopefully. If I was close by, Linda, I'd have been there and fixed your furnace for you immediately. But it's a pretty good ride for me to get to it. Aaron says, STD, Stray Tom Cat Day. Nice. Stray Tom Day. I like it. Amy says, message retracted. I can't read it if you retracted, Amy. Aaron says, LOL. And Amanda says, beans and peas. Oh, that's what that is. Beans and peas. Well, the scale is all off. If those are peas, those beans are giant. Aaron says, huh? We're talking about flicking the bean. Amanda says, Jake was talking about flicking the bean, LOL. Right. And Debbie says, Aaron, snapping peas? Shaking my head. Aaron says, oh, got it. Amy says, snapping turtles. John says, 2 peas in a pod. Right on. And Aaron says, LOL, Amy, sometimes it's called that. I didn't even know. Amy says, press the thumbs up and use the arrow to share. Right on. Hit that like button, everybody. There's one person in chat that has not liked. That means I'm not working hard enough, obviously. Amanda says, I can make another one with chill stream at the bottom. That don't need to be at the bottom. It needs to be at the top where it's at. Might could be a little smaller with more brick. I think it's fine just like it is. Everybody knows what it says. John says, going to wish you all a blessed night. Much love, John. Much love to you, sir. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the £5 super chat. I'm glad you're feeling better, and I'm glad you got the munchies. Eat. Amanda says, good night, Nugget. And Linda says, good night, Nugget, heart. Amy says, my husband's friend found out today about his death, and he was just released from prison. It's sad. He asked me if there was anything he could do for me, and I told him to stay clean and out of trouble. That's a good thing to ask for. Amy says, 30 months. I've had time to process it, and he just found out. That's terrible. Batshit Crazy says, what's up? Hey, Batshit, nice to see you, buddy. Come on in. Where did What It Is go? Are you still with us, buddy? Amanda says, hi, Bat. And John says, that's wonderful, Amy. You're such a good person. She is that. Batshit Crazy says, long show. Well, it's just now 10:50. About time to get out of here. Trying to make a little money this weekend. Amy says, hi, Bats. Amy says, John, I have learned some hard life lessons that need to be passed on to others. Well, that's a good thing that you're doing that, Amy, because there's so many people that learn life's lessons and then keep it to themselves. If you learn something, if you have the benefit of gaining knowledge in this world, you should push it out to the younger crowd or to the people who need it. That's the whole point in learning a lesson, so that everybody can benefit from it. That's beautiful. Angela says, I know The Devil and Mrs. Jones was good. They made a part 2. Did they? I didn't even know that. I remember that movie because it's cultural. It's a cultural milestone. So, I'm a big movie buff, so I know about that movie. But I didn't know about the sequel. Amy says, I need to take flowers to my dad's grave this Father's Day. First one without him. That's terrible, Amy. I know how you feel. Sue says, my man's son is taking us out for Father's Day. He wanted me to pick a place, though. We'll pick a good place. Aaron says, I'm sorry, Amy. Me too. Amy says, sounds like fun, Susie. Susie says, I saw the Stray Cats in person a few years ago. That's amazing. I hadn't seen them or heard about them since I was a teenager. Amy says, thanks, Aaron. He is in a better place than we are. Amen to that. He certainly is. And he gets to ask the Father in person about any questions he has. That's beautiful. Aaron says, hugs. And Sue Wood says, I like their song, Stray Cats Strut. Yep, that's a good band. All we see is the Untethered Live, and I can add the chill stream. I got you. Just put it like in little letters right under the UN chill stream, like right there in this little area. Chill stream. Or over here on this side, chill stream. But I like that one just like it is. Aaron says, you could sell those, Amanda. Ones that say different stuff. Right on. Linda says, I'm so old that Stray Cats played at a prom I went to. Wow, really? Amanda says, right, Aaron? I haven't thought about it, LOL. Aaron says, do it. We might make some t-shirts with those logos on it later. We're still in the R&D phase right now, trying to decide what logos are going to be and what they're supposed to look like and all that stuff. We'll get there, and then we'll put some T-shirts out there. Amy says, nice to make the line that crosses the T's Jake's mustache. That's an idea. I like it. Aaron says, I have an order I want for my kids. Cool. Are you talking about T-shirts? You tell me what you want and I'll make it happen. Amanda says, I could. I got a fine clientele. Aaron says, read above. Amanda says, okay, send it to me and then style you want it in and I'll work on it. Aaron says, I'll send you a message. There you go. Done and done. Angela says, my dad and uncle are in the pocket of my dad's American Legion commander jacket hanging in my closet. For some reason, that bothers people when they find out. Are you talking about their ashes are in their pocket of a jacket? Why would that bother people? I mean, it's a little weird. It's an odd choice, but if that's where you want him to be. I mean, he's not in there. Some ashes are in there. Amanda says, LOL, Amy, and okay, Aaron. Amy says, 4 minutes, and I'm on vacation for a week. Awesome. I wish I had a week to take off. I'm getting 1 day off for the second week in a row. Sue says, and I'm going to spend that time sleeping, I'm sure. Sue says, I like this stream. You interact with us. Well, of course. That's the whole point in doing a stream, isn't it? Amanda says, woohoo, Amy. By the way, Sue, if you hadn't done so already, hit that subscribe button and then press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's right in front of you, and it really does help our channel. Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform me, drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critical, that's what I want. And critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you really dig what you hear tonight and you'd like to do something special in the opposite direction, you can do that by going to CashApp $JakeJohnsonBand or PayPal.me/JakeJohnsonBand or do the CashApp. Do the super chat thing right over here in the chat box. One or the other. I prefer the CashApp thing, but if you want to, if you don't, you don't have to. This is a free show. It is yours for free. Only support if you've got it and you want to. And that's between you and God, and I don't care. There's no price involved. And finally, come back. We do 5 nights a week here. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and Saturday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday are at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Sunday is at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday and Friday are chill streams. Saturday is politics, and Sunday and Monday are Bible study. And each exactly as they sound. So please do come be part of the family, and we enjoy having you here. And we're very interested in getting to know you better. Hopefully you'll become one of our fast friends like Amy. And Debbie. And Linda. And Amanda. And Fab Daddy. And John. And Aaron. And all the good people here at this stream. We got one of the best chats on the internet, and I stand by that. Lots of good people here and not a whole lot of rigmarole. Not a whole lot of trolls. Amanda says, woohoo, Amy. Aaron says, good for you, Amy. Amy says, you're always welcome, Susie. Yes, you are. Always. And then my chat jumped. I don't know where I'm at anymore. Here we go. Amy says, I know you won't join Bible study, Susie, but you will definitely enjoy the rest of the week. Well, why not? I mean, you don't have to. We do different things, but you're more than welcome to. I'm willing to bet money it'll be different than you think it's going to be. Angela says, yes, they're ashes, 2 baggies filled with ashes and bone fragments. Yeah, that's fine. It's a little strange of a choice, but to each his own. I don't know why that would freak anybody out. It's not like you got the bodies in there. Angela says, I could just imagine if for some reason police or FBI were searching my house that they might think those baggies are some kind of drugs. Well, they'd be shocked if they snorted some of it, wouldn't they? Amy says, bone fragments and ashes. I have a bag of those. I didn't realize cremated remains were chunky. I got my dad's ashes in a box, and I didn't even open the box. It was screwed shut, so I left it that way, and I buried it in the yard right next to my mom, who I buried a year earlier, right over there in our little cemetery. And I did the ceremonies, and I put them in the ground, and for him, I dug his grave myself. So there's that. Angela says, me either, Amy, until I received my dad's ashes. Sue says, not everyone interacts with their audience. I know that's right. And I try to make this show about you. I mean, I'm putting it on, but I'm just the middleman, really. It's about your ideas. I want to hear what you've got to say, what you think about. And I don't have to agree with you. And that's the beautiful thing about this channel. We can disagree and still be friends, all of us. And there's all walks of life here. There's atheists here. There's Democrats here. There's Republicans here. There's all kinds of people. Black people, white people. It's fine. That's beautiful. And we can talk about all kinds of things. And I'm capable of master of ceremonies, carrying on a conversation with people. So anywhere you want to go, whether it be ancient Egypt and the pyramids, you want to talk about flowers and the Serengeti, you want to talk about, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, you want to talk about radio stuff, technical stuff, you want to get into some physics, anything you want to talk about, we can go there. And that's why I love this show, because we can really talk about anything. And if you're a conversation junkie like I am, that's the best place in the world to be. A place where every night you have no idea what the topic is going to be, because it's going to change. Even if you plan for a topic, it'll change. And you just go with the crowd. What you guys talk about, that's where we're going. So people ask me all the time, what's this show about? It's about you. What do you mean? I mean, it's about you. Whatever details you want to share, that's what we're going to talk about. Amy says, my husband is the body style as when he was alive, dirty and kind of chunky. Right on. Amy says, tomorrow is Trump's birthday, and he is 9 years and 10 days older than me. All right. Tomorrow's Saturday, right? Is Sunday Father's Day? Is that how that works? Angela says, LOL, Amy, you're so funny, heart. Amy says, Susie is Jewish. L'chaim. So, Jesus was Jewish too. She probably knows the stories better than I do. Angela says, enjoy your vacation, Amy. Heart. Yes, do enjoy your vacation. Sue says, I wish I could be excited about the good stuff tomorrow, but I'm worried about the protests happening so close, so I'll be hunkered down when I get home. Well, maybe if you show up at the stream tomorrow night, we can alleviate some of that worry. Maybe we'll be able to report on good news that they didn't tear the city down, hopefully. Tomorrow is the political leaning show, and it probably won't stay there, but I'm going to start with talking about the protests. But, it tends to go off the rails about immediately. So we'll see where it happens, but please do come and hang out with us and let us know you're okay at least. And Sue says, I'm not interested in Bible study because I'm Jewish. Cool. What does that mean? I mean, those things happened. There were Jewish people there. I understand where you're coming from, though. You're saying Jewish is a religious thing, not a bloodline, right? That would make sense. I understand what you're saying. Amy says, that's okay, Susie. The invitation is always open for you. And absolutely. And I don't care if you're Jewish. That's fine. Debbie says, and there's plenty of other stuff we can do on different days. You don't have to come to Bible study, but you're welcome to if you like to. And Debbie says, we even have an Aaron that snaps his peas and tells about it. Ha ha ha. Right on. No other podcast has one of those. Angela says, Sue, I'm at the lake just so I don't have to worry about the protests that will be going on in Fort Wayne, a very blue city. Our mayor also won't let police turn illegals over to ICE or help them at all. Sue says, I've been interested in ancient Rome recently. That's a fascinating place to study, Sue. I've done a lot of digging into Rome also. What specifically about Rome are you digging into? I spent a great deal of my time in my youth studying ancient cultures. Rome and Egypt and Greece and Mesopotamia, Samaria. And there's a whole lot of stuff over there that's completely opposite of everything else in the world. It's fascinating, almost like a different planet. Amy says, Monday is my birthday. Well, happy early birthday, Amy. And if you'll come Monday, I'll sing you happy birthday. Angela says, we have had 3 pedestrian the last 5 months hit because the illegals don't know the laws and still drive. That's terrible, Angela. And happy early birthday, Amy, says Angela. And Patty says, happy birthday early, Amy. Sue says, yep, I'm religiously Jewish. Well, that's all right. Maybe you could be a source for me and help me clear up some things that I have questions about. Angela says, I have Jewish blood. I know Jesus died to save me, though. The teachings of Jesus are worth knowing, even if you don't believe he is the Messiah. Well, he is, and that's kind of how I feel about it. There is an academic way to go about the Bible. This is a church, but it is not Bible thumpery church. I'm not going to do things like other places do it. I'm certainly not going to exclude anybody or push anybody to any category because of who they are. Basically, my purpose in doing this is to understand quite literally the most important document ever written on planet Earth and the oldest. In fact, so much so that all other documents stand on its shoulders. It's worth knowing what's in it and knowing why people have spent so much of their times invested in this book and fought over this book and lives altered because of this book. It's very important, and I think it's one of life's most important necessities to actually get it right and know what's in it and not just have a religion built on it. That's one thing I don't do is religion, Sue. There are all kinds of religious people in the world. There's Catholics that come in here. There's Protestants. There's Jewish people. There's atheists. There's Baptists. This is Untethered Live, meaning I am not connected to any religious tradition of man, period. All I'm interested in is what's in that book and what it means. That's it. So maybe we can find some ground to move forward on that front, and maybe not. That's fine, too. As long as we can remain friends, I don't care what you believe. It's not my place to save you. That's between you and God. And if it's the truth, it will be obvious and no one can do anything about it. That's the way I feel about it. So whatever you believe, whatever I believe, whatever they believe, doesn't really matter, does it? Because in the end, the truth will be there, and what is, and there's nobody can change that. So as far as Bible study, that's what we're doing, studying what's in the Bible. That's it. I don't do any traditional stuff. I won't even pray for anybody unless they ask me to specifically. I'm much more interested in the way things came to be and the people that saw it and what their take on it was and that sort of thing. Sue says, I'm going to be doing an ancient Roman impression for a reenactment, and I'll be portraying a senator's wife during the Flavian dynasty. That's fantastic. Is that like a play or something that you're putting on or a part of? I would be very interested to see that. Please keep me posted on when and where that's going to be, because I'd like to see that happen. Amy says, Mayor Pete Angel. And we made it to the bottom of the chat, and I'm exhausted, so I'm going to go to bed now. It's educational history event, says Sue. That's fantastic. Angela says, no, Amy, that was South Bend, LOL. It was Mayor Tom Henry, and he passed away, and so now it's Mayor Sharon Tucker, and I'm thinking about running against her, and she cares more about dressing the place up than fixing it. Well, Angela, you should run for office. In fact, everybody should consider running for some form of office if they're capable and have the wherewithal to do so, because that's the problem with the world we live in. We're being ran by children who don't have any brains, and it's showing. The world's going down quickly. So if you can run for office, please do, and hopefully you can make some differences there. Amanda says, good night all. See you tomorrow night here on Untethered Live for Politics. Much love, y'all. And Linda says, good night all. Untethered Live family, much love to all. And Debbie says, good night all. And don't forget the jerkins for a good night's sleep. Right on. Got to pull out them jerkins and your napkins. And your... Not you. I wasn't talking about you. You sit quiet. I'll be done in a minute. Nah, Shh. This thing got a mind of its own. I said shut up. All right, I'm back. Angela says, good night all. I love you. It was a blessing being here with you tonight. Yes, it was. And don't forget your jerkins for a good night's sleep. And Amanda says, the gold glug 6,000. Right on. All right. God bless y'all. Have a great night. Thank you for being here. Susie, I enjoyed your company. I hope you come back for more. I'm ready. And maybe one day we can talk about Jewish stuff, because I'm interested to know, the inside stuff, the stuff that normal people don't, us goyim don't know. I'd like to know that stuff. All right. Have a great night. God bless y'all. Thanks for watching.